Hello everyone. So I'm going about this a little bit backwards because this is technically the third thing that I've put out as part of the podcast, and this is going to be the introduction to the podcast to say what the podcast's about. But there is a reason that I've chosen to do an introduction video at this point in time, and that is because I'm sort of rebranding. Not that I had an established brand by any means, but the name Robin's Ramblings didn't make sense to me for what I'm now doing, and the reason is the origins of that name were that about 2 years ago, probably during the lockdowns, I was thinking and reading and had a lot of ideas going around in my head that were just staying in my head and sort of running round and round and round. And I decided that it would be better to put them down in some sort of concrete way, put them on a blog, and that would enable me to think through them more effectively. And there was something about the process of doing that in a semi-public way that helped the process. And, I found it really useful. I feel like I improved my thinking a considerable amount. I improved my writing a considerable amount. And no doubt it's had a knock-on effect on other areas of my life, such as my university assignments, for example. But when I decided to start the podcast, decided to start a podcast based on an idea that me and my friend had to start a podcast together that didn't come to fruition for a variety of reasons, although he will be a guest on my podcast imminently, so we will probably have some discussion about that, and I'm really looking forward to speaking with him again. But that didn't come to fruition, but I really enjoyed the process because I found the back and forth of exploring ideas and challenging each other really stimulating and really helpful. And so that's what I wanted to aim at. But when I started, the title Robin's Ramblings just sort of made sense to carry it over and carry on with that. And I didn't really put much thought into it. And then it just didn't seem right to me. And there were two reasons for that. One is that this isn't just about me, although I will be the host, the consistent person from episode to episode. A lot of my objective now is about finding out information from other people and extracting their knowledge and their ideas. So it didn't make sense to just title it around me, and I wanted it to be more refined. It wasn't just going to be me rambling on. Robin's Ramblings might have made sense as a title for what I'm doing now more than it does for what the podcast is actually about. So that's why that name didn't make sense to me. So it's a new objective, and therefore it requires a new method. The new name is Love of Wisdom, the Love of Wisdom podcast. And how that came about is I was listening to John Vervaeke speaking on a podcast. It was probably over a year ago now, but it really stuck with me. He was speaking, he spoke about the ancient Greek words they had for the different kinds of love, because they separated love into many different forms. And he spoke of two specific ones which relate to intellectual pursuits and debate and the sort of thing that I'm interested in. Those were Philia Nikeia and Philia Sophia. Now, Nikeia, so Philia means the love of, and Nikeia, you may be aware of or may not, it was the Greek god of victory. And this is where Nike, the brand, the sportswear brand, got their name from, because it was supposed to be Nike, the Greek god of victory, and that's where they started with the trainers. So that is one potential animating spirit for intellectual pursuit, the love of victory. And that's, when you get into an argument to score points. And that isn't what I'm looking to do. And I'm sure there will be people out there who will contest that and say that I do that. And I do that at some points. I am a human being. My ego gets the better of me sometimes. I allow myself to become frustrated, or I lose sight of what I'm trying to do or what my objective is. And as a result, I find myself arguing to win. I know when that happens because I find myself unsatisfied and frustrated by the fact that the conversation isn't giving me, or I'm not getting what I want out of the conversation, which is a meaningful back and forth where I'm learning something and gaining some new insight. And when it falls into the Philia Nikea territory, that goes out the window. And, that's when you end up more in arguments, and there's tension and conflict underlying everything. And I don't enjoy that at all. So what I always strive for, and hope that I hit more often than not, is Philia Sophia. And Philia Sophia means the love of wisdom, and that's obviously the name of the podcast now. And the reason I chose this is because that should be the animating spirit of intellectual pursuit and debate in my eyes. It's a back and forth where the objective is that both people want to know more coming out of it than they went in. And etymologically speaking, Philia Sophia is the origin of philosophy. And philosophy, if you take it back to its Latin words, means love of wisdom, which I only learned today, and I found it very interesting. So I didn't want to use the Latin terms for the name of the podcast because I thought it would come across as pompous, and that's not what I'm aiming for. So Love of Wisdom is the new title. I will be making an effort to promote it, giving it independent socials and everything like that, so that I can build something with this. I'm still going to carry on with the blog, but the blog will be rebranded as well, although it might be some time before I put stuff out with that, because as part of the rebrand, it's going to become more polished, more focused. I'm going to actually look back over things and edit them and make sure that I'm happy with the quality of what I'm putting out. I'm also aiming to build a bit of a back catalogue because it's quite a lengthy process, and I want to have some bits that I can put out. So I want to be able to put out content on a regular basis and make it a bit predictable in that regard for anyone who does become interested in following it. So that's something to look out for, but it might not be happening anytime soon. Give it a few months, hopefully. So what I am aiming to do is to get as many people. I have short-term, medium-term and long-term plans with this. But in the short term, what I'm doing is I'm going to get people from my life or people I know onto the podcast to talk about lessons they have learned from life, their experiences, or from, I just to think of a few examples. I want to speak with my martial arts instructor. I think it'll be interesting to extract some of the lessons that can be applied to people's day-to-day life that you can learn through practicing martial arts. I also have, who do I have lined up? I have a few different people. There's a psychologist I want to speak with. There's someone who runs a animal rescue. There's two people who run an animal rescue who I think will have very different takes on different things. One of them is an ex-soldier as well. I think that might be quite interesting. But I'm keeping an eye out and speaking to people. And what the objective is basically... So what inspired this, I guess, is the better way to frame it. What inspired this is through my work in social care, I meet so many interesting people, and these people have often been through the ringer. They've got a lot of stuff going on for them, but every single one of them, I feel like there's something that I can learn from. I interact with them, and they have experiences and perspectives and insights that I can apply elsewhere that I find really useful. And I was like, I fundamentally think that everyone has some wisdom within them that can be useful to other people, and that's what I'm looking to extract in this. Hopefully over time, if I build up, I might be able to get more guests, not necessarily people that I know. I might get some people that I don't know, or sort of people with more academic backgrounds or people with like interesting stories. So I'm hoping to build and build and build with it. But I also spend an awful lot of time reading, researching, and trying to improve my own knowledge. And so hopefully what I'll be able to do is elicit an interesting conversation from people that will be useful to me and help me to build my understanding, but also useful to people listening. And my contribution will be to try and prompt and bring that out, but also to build on it and to offer insights from different perspectives, or to challenge it when I think that it may be misguided, but also to bring on guests who will challenge me because I want to be challenged. There will be no topic that is off limits. There will be no restrictions on what people can say or opinions that people can have. It will be open, honest discussion with the objective of both of us leaving the conversation feeling like we know more than we went into. And that is what I'm trying to build. As always was the case, and as was the case with the blog, if you have any feedback, if you have anything you want to contribute, then let me know. If you wanted to be a guest, if you agree with me or if you disagree with me, I want to hear it. If you wanted to be a guest, if you think that everything I'm saying is completely wrong and you wanted to come on and discuss it, I would absolutely love for that to happen, and there is an open invite there. I'm also trying, as part of this, to the best of my ability, to use it to put other people on. So I don't want to build this just for me. You'll already see that the artwork that I use is created by my friend. The music that I use is created by a friend, and that is what I'm aiming to do. And the people I bring on will be people that I value and value their opinions. And so I'm looking to give other people some opportunity as well as I build. It's not going to be just for me, and it's for the audience as well. There are issues with the production. I am well aware of those. I hope eventually to be able to monetize this so that I can put that money into equipment and devote more time to it. I'm learning as I go with the editing, so there are going to be issues. It's going to hopefully continue to improve over time, but it may get worse at times as well as I try out new things. Media production is not an area I know a huge amount about, and I'm trying to learn as I go. So you're going to have to bear with to some degree. On that note, if anyone out there happens to be knowledgeable in the use of Final Cut Pro on Mac, then I would really, really appreciate hearing from you, because I could do with some lessons and being shown how things work, or just how to understand the interface that I'm working with, because it is confusing me. But hopefully I will be able to bring in some insights that include bits of research on psychology, sociology, economics, philosophy, all these different sort of subjects that I've been reading on and I'm trying to educate myself on, because I find that they all feed into each other to some degree, and you can get a lot of useful insights from them. I've probably gone on a bit too long for this already. I'm still stuck in the Robin's ramblings days, and I'm not quite at the refined stage of the love of wisdom yet, but it's an interesting experience talking to nobody through a microphone. I'm hoping to get some content out soon. I'm been having some scheduling issues trying to get people on and things like that, but I'm hoping to start getting out content fairly regularly soon. You'll have to bear with me while that's happening. One day I would like to get into a predictable routine with it, but it is what it is for now. I'm just starting out, and I'm going to have to build before I can promise anything like that. So stay tuned, bear with me, keep an eye out, and yeah, I hope that you gain something from this, that you find it useful, and that if you do, just help me out by, liking, subscribing, following, whatever it is you have to do to ensure that the content gets some recognition, because that will help me to continue to grow what I'm doing and hopefully make better content. Thank you for listening. I look forward to speaking to you all soon.